Salvete omnes. This is a short video lesson on infinitive uses in Latin. The infinitive is a verbal noun, which is usually translated to verb, but it can also be translated as an English gerund. That is, it ends in ing, like verbing, which is also a verbal noun. The infinitive has four main uses, three of which I will go over in this video. There's the subjective infinitive, the objective infinitive, and the complementary infinitive. The fourth usage, the verb in Oratio Obliqua, that is commonly called indirect statement, that has its own chapter, its own special chapter, and its own special video. So we'll start with number one, the subjective infinitive. That is, the infinitive is the subject of a verb. If the infinitive is the subject of the verb, if it has any predicate that goes with it, like an adjective, the infinitive is considered singular and neuter. For example, videre est credere. We actually have two infinitives here. We have videre and we have credere. The verb is est. Who or what is? Who or what is doing the verb? Who or what exists? Videre is. It's an action, seeing, but it's a noun. It's a verbal noun. An infinitive is a verbal noun. Seeing, the act of seeing. It is, est, equals, predicate nominative, credere, another infinitive. This one is a predicate infinitive. It's the predicate of the subject, videre. It's like saying, the boy is good. The boy is the subject, is the linking verb, and good is the predicate nominative. Videre est credere, seeing is believing. To see is to believe, is another way we could say this, if you prefer the to-verb translation of the infinitive. You could also use the English gerund, ing form. Seeing is believing, to see is to believe. If we have a subjective infinitive, where the infinitive is the subject of a verb, like est, legere est bonum, where bonum is an adjective, it's a predicate nominative. It's in the nominative case because it is the predicate of this linking verb. It's giving more information about the subject. Legere. Legere est bonum. To read, legere, to read is good. Remember that infinitives are singular and neuter, which is why the form is bonum, singular and neuter. The gerund form reading is good. We could also flip it around to say, it is good, bonum est, it is good, legere, to read. Gratum est laudari, gratum est laudari. So it is grateful, it is pleasant, it is pleasing. What is pleasing? What is pleasant? Laudari, to be praised. To be praised is pleasing. Being praised is pleasing. It is pleasing, it is pleasant, laudari, to be praised. Laudari is a present passive infinitive. It's still a subjective infinitive. It is the subject of the verb est, and gratum is a predicate nominative, an adjective describing laudari, and it's singular and neuter. Videre is present active, legere is present active, laudari is present passive. The second use of the infinitive is the objective infinitive, where the subjective infinitive was the subject of a verb. The objective infinitive will be the, you guessed it, the object of a verb. It will be paired with a subject accusative, meaning it will be paired with a word in the accusative case that will be its subject. Go ahead and say this now. Remember this. Store this up in your memory banks. The subject of an accusative, the subject of an infinitive is in the accusative. The subject of an infinitive is in the accusative. The accusative is the subject of an infinitive. The subject of an infinitive is in the accusative case. So put that in your memory banks. The subject of an infinitive is in the accusative case. The accusative case is the subject of an infinitive. Here we go. Te ambulare iubeo. So the main verb is iubeo. First person singular, I order. Iubeo, iubere, iusi, iusus. I order. Iubeo, very famously and commonly, takes an infinitive phrase. It takes an objective infinitive. So iubeo, I order. Whom do I order? I order a subject accusative. I order a subject accusative. Te, I order te, you. And what do I order you, the subject accusative, to do? Ambulare, to walk. I order you to walk. Te, the subject accusative. This is the subject of the infinitive ambulare. The accusative is the subject of an infinitive. Now, the subject of the main verb, the nominative, but we don't have a nominative here. We don't need to say ego. Iubeo, I order te, you, subject accusative, to do the objective infinitive. I order the subject accusative to do the objective infinitive. This infinitive is not the subject of this verb, but it is the object of it, and must be paired with a subject accusative in blue. I order you to walk. Me legere cogis. You are forcing subject accusative me to read, to do something. You force the subject accusative to do the objective infinitive. I order the subject accusative to do the objective infinitive. I force the subject accusative to do the objective infinitive. You are forcing me to read. Milites transire prohibet. He keeps the soldiers from crossing. Check out this translation. He keeps the soldiers from crossing. Prohibeo does a thing, keeps a subject accusative from doing the infinitive, So milites is the subject accusative, transire the objective infinitive. The infinitive is the object of the main verb. So we've had subjective infinitives, where the infinitive is the subject of a verb. The objective infinitive, where the infinitive is the object of a verb. And now we have the complementary infinitive. That is, the infinitive complements or completes the meaning of a verb. Common verbs are possum, constitua, when it means to decide to do something, and debeo. Debeo, debere, debui, debitus, when it means to ought to do something. These almost always take complementary infinitives. So, for example, videre possum. Possum, posse, potui, I am able to. It almost always takes a complementary infinitive to complement or complete its meaning. Without the infinitive, we're kind of left hanging. Possum, I am able. Cool. What are you able to do? What can you do there? What are you potentially able to do? Videre possum, I am able to, videre, to see. I can see. I am able to see. Constituistine manere. Have you decided, constitua when it means to decide, have you decided to stay? Complementary infinitive, to stay, manere. Consul esse debet. He ought to be consul. He ought, debet. He ought to be, he ought to be. Esse, consul. The subject is he. We have a complementary infinitive in esse, and consul is a predicate nominative. It's a noun, consul. He ought to be the thing, to be, where esse is a linking verb. Now make sure you note that if a verb is passive voice, and the verb ordinarily takes a subject accusative and an objective infinitive, So verbs from this slide, eubeo, kogo, prohibeo, verbs like that. If those verbs are passive, then they do not take an objective infinitive, but they take a complementary infinitive instead. Because what happens when these verbs turn into the passive, the subject accusative goes away. So a sentence like, I order you to walk. If I order becomes passive, I am ordered. I am ordered to walk. You, the subject accusative, when the verb was active, that's gone away. There's no more te. There's no more you. I order you, the subject accusative, to walk, to do the objective infinitive. If the verb is passive, I am ordered to walk. That's just a complementary infinitive. There is no more subject accusative. This verb is no more the object, really, of this main verb, but helps complete the meaning. I am ordered. Yeah, that's cool, that's great, but like, it's like I'm left hanging. What are you ordered to do? Ambulare, to walk. Legere cogeres, you are forced to read, whereas previously, you are forcing me, the subject accusative, to do the objective infinitive. In the passive, you are forced to do the thing. You are being forced. To do what? To read. No, what a punishment. Transire prohibetur. He is kept, he is being kept from crossing, complementary infinitive, transire. So for this chapter 32, make sure that you review the subjective, the objective, and the complementary infinitives. If you're beyond that, and you're looking this up to review infinitives for indirect statement, make sure that you also review the video for indirect statement, and that is chapter 39.